A lot of the problems that you see out in the world, they've started 20 years ago in the classroom. No one seems to have their head on their shoulders the right way. And we started to ask the question, why? What do people need in order to make excellent decisions? Ultimately, their loves are out of order. They love things more than they should, and they love excellent things less than they should. We think that ordering your loves is one of the most important things you do in your education, and that all begins in grade school, really. Good morning, students.
Good morning, Mr. Hummel.
Let's sing Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
We always say that we're starting two schools. One is the one we're working on, and it's just a disaster. And then the other one is the one that God builds while we're sleeping, and it's actually going really well.
We moved into this building in 2016, and I was doing some vision and planning for the church. And the Lord basically moved my heart to start digging what the people of God has done for the past 2,500 years. I began to find God's people wherever they go, they build schools.
We never intended to start a school. We thought that if we informed people about classical Christian education, that they would pick up the torch and run with it. And when no one did, we just kept running with it. One of the big ways we've seen God work is just finding this church to use as our school building. Timothy Peng, the pastor here, said that they had been praying for over a year that a classical Christian school would open in this building.
That's why 2 years later, when we got that email,
From Caroline.
goosebumps. I mean, like literally.
And we went out to the pond on this 9-acre property, and Timothy said, Jesus made this pond for you.
So the Lord has really been generous to us in who He's put into our school. He's brought us families we never expected would ever be involved, and they've been key parts of our culture.
So I think God has done all of the work, and we've just been watching. We want to train our students to slay dragons.
Not literal scaly beasts breathing fire, but the incredible challenges of living in a sinful and fallen world.
Cedar has really taught our kids to persist, to continue to work at it until they understand it.
I have seen students tackle dragons in their hearts, that they came in with these great fears, and over the weeks they had what it took to kill some of those things. And I've seen that over and over and over again. But more, what causes me to have delight in this school and to feel like it's worth sacrificing for is the growth I've seen in their hearts.
We want all of our students to know that they are worshiping Christ the Dragon Slayer, who fought and conquered their sin, fought and conquered death, and so they can have hope that at the end of their lives there is victory through Christ and not failure.
We think theology is the capstone of education. All the education that you get in all the different subjects are leading your eyes upward towards the creator of everything we're studying.
So that's why we study the liberal arts in classical education.
Great books, great stories from history, great stories from the Bible.
We go back to the ancient ways of understanding things, not because they knew everything and we knew nothing, but because human nature doesn't change. And we can learn from the way that they pursued the truth.
I think what American Christianity really needs is the ability to converse with non-believers who are educated.
We want them to have a love of learning so that they can continue to learn for the rest of their lives.
We are not about just teaching subjects. We are loving the little students' hearts as we teach them the subjects. And more importantly, we're saying, look at me as I follow Christ, because we are actually headed towards something else besides just having a school here where we do rigorous things and we learn wonderful, amazing things. It's so much deeper.
The goal is to get kids to be able to think for themselves, to move kids from me telling them, here's what you have to do, to them saying, I want to learn, how can I learn more, how can I take charge of my own education?
So what are the 3 articles in English? Yes, Caleb.
A, the, and.
A
R.
and
Oh, A and the.
and the. I love laughing a lot, and I love making other people laugh. So two options for me in my life were teaching or stand-up comedian. But I do feel that I come alive in front of the students, trying to get them to see the world in a different way.
I think one thing that I am trying to build is just this culture of singing. You know, it's not just a subject that you study, but it's part of your life.
I love that here we are singing hymns through the hallways and reminding ourselves as we transition to another class that we have an amazing grace.
When they're at home, they talk about how excited they are for the next day and what they're going to do.
The kids have learned a lot this year. I think there's been parts of their minds that we've seen grow and come alive and have wonder.
If you ask a kid their favorite class, it changes all the time. It's because their little brains are firing in these different ways.
We just see the older kids pouring into the lives of the kindergartners and the first grades as much as the teachers do. And the 5-year-olds want to aspire to be like their teachers, but also be like the older students.
You know, our girls always loved going to school, but our boys not so much, and that's pretty typical, especially a preteen and now a teenage boy. For him to love going to school, for him to love reciting poetry is really, really exciting.
If you can help to form kids and shape kids at that early stage, they're going to be much better off later on because they have the self-control and the understanding of what is the good later on in life.
Probably what I hear more than anything. It's just, if it weren't for the finances, I would love to send my kids to a school like that. And I think what it takes is an understanding of what education is. And if education is about opening up the children's eyes to the reality and the truth and the beauty and the goodness of the world that God made, I would say it's worth a sacrifice to find a school who's teaching those things.